This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of April 2019, Mountain Glass is offering their Chinese rod and tube at 40% off. You can just get this with no coupon code needed. Just buy it at checkout. It's all taken care of for you. And if you're questioning about the Chinese rod and tube quality, I highly recommend this to anybody and everybody at any level of advancement. The one thing I will say is that the Chinese rod and tube, if you're looking for high quality refraction and clarity in glass, this is not for you if you're a marble maker or looking for backstack sleeving, that kind of stuff. It's definitely not the best in terms of clarity and that kind of refractiveness that we're looking for glass. But if you're a beginner, if you do production that's high-level production, right now is the time to save a ton of money. It's now also the time to buy freight. You can get 6 to 10 cases put on a pallet, have it shipped to a local area distribution place, or if you have a studio, it's a warehouse facility, they'll ship to you there directly, and it will save you a ton of money, I promise. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds out there, they have their double Helix sale at 15% off. Just use the coupon code HELIX, H-E-L-I-X, at checkout. And also, if you have not yet heard, Mountain Glass is expanding their horizons, and they are opening a new location out in Oregon. I believe, as I read, they will be starting off with a retail space and then eventually working out and getting a bigger space as they grow out there. So we now will have an East Coast and West Coast connection with Mountain Glass Arts. This is amazing to me, not only for them as a company that I have spent a ton of money with and have been very dedicated to over the last 20 years of my life as a glass artist, but also it really goes to show you how the glass industry and the boro industry in particular is growing in leaps and bounds and continues to grow. So congratulations to Mountain Glass for their expansion. And make sure if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 213. This is your host, Jason Michael. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today's episode is featuring Mr. Sam, goes by Kres Bug Glass out there on the social media feeds. He is co-owner and founder of Colorado Color Company. And him and I have a fun conversation about his 10-year journey in glass and then also the forming of Colorado Color Company. And we're going to be bringing Ben on at some point to talk about his journey. And then two guys in that same chit-chat will come on and kind of talk about their comings together in a sense of the forming of Colorado Color Company, which we do cover a little bit in this interview. But I want to bring both of those guys on to have that formal discussion. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I was out there myself back in February, I believe it was, for my first time seeing snow falling from the sky. My daughter bought her and I round-trip tickets for my birthday, and it was a blessing to get out there and meet these cats. And they had their brand-new studio, which Sam talks about, and got a chance to go in there, and we had an open house and got to break it in a sense, by firing up some torches on a new bench. Just an overall amazing experience, and had a lot of fun. And we've been having some discussions about myself going out there and teaching some intro beginning classes and sculpture and what have you. So a lot of things in the works behind the scenes, but definitely was looking forward to getting Sam on here. We had some technical issues last time we tried doing this. Those of you out there that have the new upgraded iPhones that know about this whole lightning plug bullshit that you have to have an adapter for any kind of coax cable or a plug. And I've used my phone forever and ever for doing my interviews, not my laptop, because my laptop, this Wi-Fi sucks for it out here in the studio. So I was able to borrow my girl's laptop and make this happen today. So it's definitely glad it worked. And Sam out there in Colorado, just by chance, was having some crazy weather coming through, which he discusses and talks about a little bit. So his signal was in and out. So I just went through and edited out some of the breakups and what have you. So if you guys notice a little bit of cuts out here and there that don't sound natural, that's pretty much all it was. And that wasn't editing the show necessarily of what he was saying, just trying to make things sound a little seamless in a sense. But yeah, that being said, I hope you all are doing well. It's coming into spring, and for here in Florida, it's almost summertime. It's been in the high 80s. The mornings have been gorgeous, but right now outside it's probably about 85 degrees. So just remember, as you all are out in your studios and you're sweating and stuff, make sure you're staying hydrated and cooled down, because summertime's kicking in, and we all know how much it sucks when it gets so hot that we have to start working in the early mornings and the wee hours of the night, which isn't always a good thing for us. I know myself personally, I tend to try to just power through the heat and just say fuck it and just stay hydrated, have a fan on you, get some cold washcloths, work in 3-hour increments and take breaks, that kind of stuff. So things to think about. I always preach about adding a little pinch of some sea salt to your water, as well as some lemon. Helps with the flavor, but the sea salt also helps your body stay up to speed in terms of not losing all of your minerals and things that you lose, and the sodium that's so important for your body to work properly from all that water that you're peeing out. So just some things to think about. Also, if you guys heard in the ads in the beginning, exciting news about Mountain Glass. They are expanding and growing, which is super awesome. They are now not relocating, they're expanding to the west. The great expansion of Mountain Glass. So now they are in Asheville, North Carolina, and as well out in Oregon, I believe is where they're at. And right now, from what I understand, they're going to start off with a small retail spot that you can go get some materials and supplies from, and then eventually they'll open up a bigger space as a distribution facility, which is pretty badass. It's super exciting. I know myself, being as close as I am, I'm pretty spoiled getting 2-day deliveries from them. I can order on Wednesday, make sure I have it here Friday. And as long as you can get that in at a certain time of the day as well, is what counts for them as well. But it's just a lot of fun to see the growth and expansion. And I mentioned in the ad about, a lot of it to me is just seeing the growth in the Boro company. But really a lot of it is just the expansion in glass in general. There's been such a growth and appreciation for this work in the art, not even the pipe scene, but just for glass in general. I can't tell you. Gotta love when people drive through your neighborhood in a loud Harley. But that being said, I get excited at work when I hear kids or talk about seeing things on the social media, and I don't know if they're watching pipe makers blown glass or what's going on. But the fact is that they are still seeing glass being made through the internet, and it's all ages and sizes and races and creeds and all that stuff. Everybody has a new found appreciation. So for those of us that do this for a full-time living, we're all blessed, and definitely want to make sure that you know that you're blessed. It's, don't take it for granted, because as any kind of art, there's ebbs and flows. Like in the pipe industry, there's ebbs and flows. That goes with art as well. For 20 to 50 years, it could be glass, and then for another decade or more, it becomes metal. I mean, you really never know. So get it while it's good. Make sure you're putting money away to save for retirement, all that kind of stuff. Like I talked in my little Wise Guy Radio Minute in the last episode, episode 5. If you have not heard yet, it's talking about the importance of having a little small emergency fund, and it all stemmed from a lower back injury that I've been dealing with, which I still am dealing with right now as I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm on Monday, today's Thursday, so day 4 of going through my healing. And I got to get a little bit of work done today. I had to go to my oxygen company and swap out a tank, which was not fun to do, and I still had to do it. I didn't really have any kind of choice. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But I also know that now, being 43 this year, that I'm not a young buck like I used to be. Even though I'm somewhat fit and keep myself in shape, I'm still don't heal as fast as I used to, and I got to take it easy. So it's just important, again, just to think about things, take care of your body, don't push yourself to the limits, make sure you're getting good sleep, adequate diet is good, water, hydration, stretching. And one of the things with my lower back, which I'll pass on to you guys, is the recommendations I've had is no heat whatsoever. Ice packs are beneficial because of the swelling. If you use heat, it actually draws blood to the area, which causes the inflammation to happen even more. And that's what the inflammation is, basically, is that it's the swelling of your tissue that is filled with blood, basically, as it's trying to heal itself. And using ice helps to alleviate the swelling. Those that follow sports and watch like a pitcher for a game, after a pitcher has pitched 7, 8 innings, their arm is iced up from their shoulder to their hand. And that's because of the overuse and the wear and tear of that particular body part, and they ice it up to help them relieve it. Or you see like football players that take ice baths, that kind of stuff. Just because the ice helps to with your tissues and all the circulations of your systems in your body, helps to really calm it all down and help with the inflammation. So it's also really important just to make sure that you're wearing adequate shoes in the shop, that you have a good soft something that you're standing on. I have a anti-fatigue mat that I stand on that's super comfortable. Otherwise, I'd be standing on my concrete floor in my garage all the time, and you don't want that. That's terrible for your back. If you're sitting, if you're standing, whatever you're doing, just make sure you're paying attention to your posture, that you're not hunched over your torch, all that kind of stuff. And if you do that for so long, it's eventually going to wear and tear, and it's not going to allow you to do this anymore. And also helps to overdevelop certain muscles, which then throws your entire posture off. So just some things to think about. And again, this is all fresh right now in my system, so I'm sharing it with you as I experience this stuff, which I tend to do. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to the Flow magazine, one of our other sponsors for this show, make sure you do. They just had their Marbles and Paperweight issue came out, which was amazing seeing what they had in this issue. Was some beautiful work. And they had their spring issue coming out soon, which is their nature issue, which is a lot of fun. And then eventually they'll have their women's in glass, and then they'll have their functional issue, and then it goes in the circulation every quarter. So again, if you have not yet subscribed to the Flow magazine, make sure you do, because I highly recommend them. If you've ever wanted to have any work published, anything you've written published, any tutorials, any of that kind of stuff, this is a great magazine to get yourself into and get some notoriety and your voice out there in a sense. So just go to theflowmagazine.com. You can use promo code WISEGUY, that's WYZGUY at checkout. It'll save you 10% off your subscription. You can get this subscription in digital form or paper as well, or both. And I recommend the paper version only because it's nice to have a magazine in your hands instead of reading things on your phone or your tablets or your computers, like the old days. And what else? Trade show season's over with. So it's coming up soon, though. Got Glass Roots. I heard that they are I've heard that they're in New Orleans, but then I've also heard they're in Nashville. I got to do a little research, but I'm pretty sure Asheville is where they're going to be this year. And I'm marking my calendars off this time around for this next year to make sure that I get to the trade shows. I make sure I get to the gas conferences. This next gas conference, from what I understand, is in Switzerland or Sweden. So not going to be making that one. But next time it's in the States, I definitely will be there. I feel like an asshole for not going to this last one, especially when it was in my hometown. But just the way my scheduling works at work and not asking time off in advance like I should have, I definitely dropped the ball on that one. And main reasons I want to go to these things is for you all, just to get some content and get some information and share what's going on out there in the world of glass. And that being said, if you want to help support this show, we have a Patreon page. You can go to patreon.com/WiseGuyRadio. We still have our 2 patrons in there, our wise asses, as I like to call them. They are getting exclusive content and video work, only found in Patreon, even though we have the YouTube channel that is up and going. The videos that are going to be on YouTube are going to be more about everything and anything about glass blowing, including tutorials. But the Patreon page is a place in the community that I want to grow. And it's for as little as $1 a month. You can get in there and help support this show. And that's $12 a year. So if you think about the math, and every penny that is going through that account goes right back into this podcast, whether it's buying lighting or buying new equipment to upgrade the shows, help pay for trips to get around and about. Because this is not free for me on my end, definitely have a hefty bill every month that I have to pay to run the show and get this thing's going. And my co-producer, John, will be here today. We're going to be doing some more filming, getting episode 1 for the YouTube channel, the top 5 reasons why you should not be a glassblower. Up and running. That'll be out this weekend. On Sunday, we're going to publish that. And I'm not sure what our publishing schedule is going to be, but that's going to be more consistent of a publishing schedule than I have for this podcast. And the main reason is just because John and I can get on a good schedule, a routine with video work, and he's going to be doing all the editing for that. Where with the podcast, it's just lining up guests and timing on my schedule and their schedule, making things happen, technical difficulties happen, all this other things that go in. So just super excited to share all that on. And for those right now, follow me on Instagram at jmichaelglass. That's JMICHAEL Glass. I am pushing my account, doing a giveaway to get to 11,000 followers. I realized I had a ton of people that were following me that were all bot accounts, and I've slowly, as those counts went away, I went under 10,000 followers. And it's not that I care how many followers I have. Only reason I really do care about how many followers I have is once you hit the 10,000 mark, it allows you to have more access to things in your story posts, including links and different things for the Instagram stories and what have you. So I would like to get it up to 11,000. That way, if there's anybody that leaves the account and fluctuates, it doesn't drop below 10,000. So 420 is going to be my giveaway. I'm giving away one of my newest Wise Guy pendants that I have. I posted this up on my Instagram the other day. I have a new t-shirt line that's dropping on Monday. The first shirt is about it just says "Have a wise day." It has my fun little wise guy logo on there, and this on the back of it says hashtag support your local glass artist. And these shirts, every sale for these shirts are going to be, again, the money will be going right back into this podcast to help fund and grow this show. And this gives me a chance to offer you all stuff. And going back to the Patreon page, if you're a member in Patreon, whether you're the $1 or $5 or $10 level, you immediately get a 15% off discount to any of our merchandise that we will be selling in the store. So, again, for $12 a year, that $12 right there can just pay for that one shirt. You'll save money on it, and you'll also then have access to content. Now, the video content is only for those that are in the $10 range, and that's just because as an incentive for that. But it's also, again, $120 a year. If you think about webinars that you would pay for, that costs anywhere from $50 to $100 for one webinar. For $120 for the year, you can have access to all these exclusive videos and tutorials and tips and tricks and what have you, and also to have the chance to give me your feedback and for things that you would like. I go in there and say, hey, what do you guys want this month? And I get feedback, and then I get the stuff up there. So super excited about the growth and everything going. I'm going to be way more consistent. My head is a lot clearer than it was a month ago, and just feeling really good right now, and mentally and in an emotional state. And it's just so important. Those that haven't heard, I have quit smoking pot, and I still do a CBD spray every morning and every night. And other than that, I've stopped smoking just because for me, the old marijuana is not for my brain chemistry. It does not allow me to get focused and get things done. If anything, it's more of a distraction, and I don't like the feeling of living in a cloud. And also for myself personally, I think too, a lot of it had to do with using it to avoid specific things in my life that I just had to deal with, and I didn't want to. And that shit has been dealt with. So if you got shit to deal with and you're finding that you're smoking pot to cover and mask those things, I recommend highly, if you want to be the best you, to stop and take care of that shit. It's so important. So that being said, I'm going to stop rambling. Love you so much. Enjoy this interview with Sam. You can find, again, Sam on the social webs at Kres Bug. I'll have his links in the show notes and everything else about Colorado Company, as well as my information for the Patreon links and for my giveaway I'm doing to get to 11,000 on Instagram. Love you all so much. Have a wise day. Stay hydrated. Talk to you soon. Peace. What's going on, Sam? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, Jason?
Good, brother. It's take two for us here. It's having some technical difficulties over the last couple of weeks, so I appreciate your patience and coming back on. And now on your end, you guys got a freaking crazy-ass typhoon, late winter breeze thing going on, so hopefully we can make it through.
Cyclone bomb, I guess they call it.
Yeah, don't you love these terms?
Yeah, it sounds serious.
Polar vortex, cyclo bombs. Man, what the fuck?
Yeah, we might not. It is a different kind of storm than we normally have here. Real windy, snow's getting drifted instead of kind of sitting. So we've had two of them. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, a little bit further in the chit chat here, we'll talk about where you're actually located at and what's going on in your life currently. But in the meantime, before we get all sidetracked here, if you want to get us started here by giving us your superhero origin story and how you're introduced to the flame.
Awesome. It all started in about 2010. My good buddy Jake Gross and Ben Thomas, they go by Gross Glass and Smash Glass. They had taken a class from Stephen Tillman down in the Longmont, Berthoud area, came back, built out a little studio in their house. And at that time, I was heavy into painting, already super into art for a bunch of years, started hanging around. Finally, one day, Smash let me touch the flame. And it was all over from there. So then there was three of us, one spot in a garage on a little Red Max, all fighting for time. These
Nice.
guys were heavily invested in it, and I was like the third wheel. And so we built another spot, and I borrowed a torch a little over under Nortel from my good friend Mikey Kaplan, Flare Glass, who I'd known and been taking. He was a little older. He's been taking me to Panic shows since I was a kid and stuff. Kind of turned me on to the whole scene. He lent me a little over under Nortel. So we built another spot, and then that became crowded. And then I guess Timberline Studios #1 started. We went and rented a little spot, about 600 square feet, built out a bench, 4 spaces, and just went at it from there.
Oh yeah, it's kind of back up real quick, man. It's interesting with talking about widespread panic, because like before I got into glass myself, I was kind of in the hippie culture at the time, like in the early mid '90s. And at the time, I was doing a lot of like macrame jewelry. I had a couple female friends of mine that worked at this head shop and stuff. So I was starting to see some glass. It was actually when Chameleon was first, like one of the first distributors that were driving around in their station wagon, slinging glass out of the back of it and stuff. So I started seeing some of the stuff that was being produced coming out of the West Coast. But I wasn't quite into the music as much. I was hearing it, but not really. And then I started becoming introduced to it. And my friend Molly was like, "Hey, I got tickets for Widespread Panic." I'm like, "I don't know who they are, but that sounds like fun. Let's go." I had no idea what I was getting myself into, bro. I mean, literally, I was like, and I was in this amazing space with a bunch of people that were, I mean, I think her and I maybe were like one of like 100 and like that were in the culture, and everybody else was there for just the music itself, like a lot of older folks. And literally by the end of the night, bro, I was in just a pair of jeans, just dancing my ass off in this fucking up in the balcony,
Oh yeah, Panic's a good time. I've seen lots of Panic shows now. We do Red Rocks every year. I did the 3-night run of Red Rocks for 10 or 11 years straight. So we have a lot of good music here in Colorado too, just with Red Rocks and Denver, all the Front Range. So
yeah, man,
music scene definitely came through.
Yeah, it's amazing to have that kind of introduction into the culture in a sense, just through music, and then all of a sudden it's like you see this vast, amazing, beautiful community of artists and all this diversified things going on. It's and then all of a sudden you're a pipe maker.
Yeah, I know. All of a sudden you're just like stuck behind a porch.
Yeah. So early on, so I know like your background, you're doing a lot of graffiti and painting and stuff, and it's kind of funny because before this, you sent me your bio, I hadn't really seen your work before, and seeing your work when you were telling me about when we first were chatting about the painting, I can totally see that in your style. So like early on in your creative space in glass, like what were some of the first things you were making?
Oh man, so like I was born in California, and I moved to Colorado in, the beginning of junior high, and I moved up into the mountains up above Horsetooth Reservoir in Fort Collins. I think you went and visited while you were here. Very beautiful area.
Yeah, we saw the mountain lion signs.
Oh yeah, that went nationwide. That guy got attacked and took that mountain lion out. That was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But I ended up living right next to where that happened, actually, up in Horsetooth Mountain Park Estates is where my parents' house was, up on a dirt road. And I just like the one thing that really hit me was like there was no graffiti. It's like Colorado is beautiful in its own way, but in Cali I lived like right off the 101, between the 101 and the beach, and like the creek behind my house was all graffitied, and I was like, I always thought it was cool that someone would take the time out of their life to go paint something colorful somewhere. And when I moved to Colorado, it was like there's no graffiti. So it captivated me, and it just, there's not a lot to do up in the mountains. So I just started drawing. My stepmom, love her, great woman. She, was an artist also, just totally encouraged me to just draw, create whatever, have a good time. And, so I got heavy into graffiti. There was a thing online called Art Crimes, and it's a lot like glasspipes.org, and it was artcrimes.org. And it was like, you go on there, upload your photos. So I'm sitting in the mountains, miles from any city, looking at all this like city style graffiti, being heavily inspired. And I guess that just rolled into a lot of canvas painting, sketchbook, black book, just a lot of drawing,
Nice.
It was good.
Did you take any kind of like formal classes with art like that?
No, I had a couple really good art teachers through high school, a couple bad ones. And, my parents were trying to encourage me to go to art school in Denver, the Denver Institute of Art. And we went down there and looked at it. And at the time, I was so heavily into graffiti. We went in the gallery, and it was like all the art looked the same. And, I didn't realize people are practicing techniques and learning styles and doing this. But to me, at that age, being into graffiti, I was like, man, I want to do like different stuff. Like I want to be different than all these people. I don't want to learn the normal way. Hindsight, I really wish I would have gone to art school for the fundamentals.
Right.
But it is what it is, and life just rolls like that sometimes.
But I do agree though in terms of art school because like like myself personally, I've taken art classes in college just for the like you're saying for the same thing, like for the fundamentals of the instruction. But I've found a lot of friends of mine over the years that took art school. It didn't go beyond, like their bachelor's basically, that they kind of continue the style of their teacher and not really their own personal style. But I had friends that went through
which is great too. That can be a great thing as well.
Yeah, for
Continuing
sure.
a style.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess in terms of even with glass, the whole like I think I keep saying Joe Scar that made the quote, and I'm pretty sure it was him, but the whole idea of the imitating until you can innovate, until you can really fine tune, and then you can begin to refine your own style. It's I'm sure in a sense hindsight, you really had hoped that you could have gone to that. But do you think like if you had, because I think we all make choices in life and there's reasons and then things happen, obviously. Do you think that you would have, was that like pre-glass in terms of the discussion of?
Oh
the
yeah,
art?
yeah. We're talking, 10 years prior, maybe at least 5.
Okay.
I didn't really get into glass till I was about 25 years old is when it kind of fell in my lap.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're talking fresh out of high school, 18, less 17, 18. I think I went down, was checking out art schools.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of get a view into like the ultimate or alternate dimensional plane where that life of you exists, where you went to art school.
Yeah, that would be a trip, right?
To see if you actually became a glassblower.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, I get, things just fall into place, you
Yeah.
just gotta let life happen sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But at least you still continue to, to do your work, which it seems like, being what you're saying, you became inspired and you still continued to be creative and put, paint on canvas. And I had almost respect for that, bro, because I can't paint to save my fucking life. I can like color theory, that kind of stuff. I'm educated in it, but when it comes to actually applying that to my work, especially even in glass, like I have trouble applying color theory to my own specific work. It's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that practice makes perfect kind of.
Yeah.
It's like I just constantly do. I always have. So it's like whether I'm painting or not, if there's a pen and a paper around, you might expect that your pad of paper is going to be destroyed. Some pretty poor art.
Yeah.
Or maybe a good one. You never know. But I'm just constantly drawing. I don't even know if I could not do it. It's weird. It's weird.
I'm in the same way, dude. I'm always sketching. It's my way of passing time, but also my way of just getting shit out of my head.
Yeah, just doodling, sketching, whatever it might be.
Yeah, fuck yes. Yeah, man. So like,
I
go on.
I feel like the older I've got, the better my colors have become, and the more I've focused on refining my glasswork and color and that kind of stuff. It's also helped me become a better painter too, or just drawer in general.
Interesting. I completely agree. I think it has to do with going from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional, and once you can create 3-dimensional, it gives you a better perspective of 2D, in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like we have some silhouette artists at work, and I am absolutely blown away by how someone can sit and look at a person's profile and get a piece of paper and a pair of scissors and cut a fucking profile, in a silhouette. It's incredible watching these ladies do it, but they're blown away that I can take a 2-dimensional thing and create 3D out of it. So I think it kind of goes back and forth, and the more you do it, the more you refine it, the better you get at both.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah, so I guess fast forward then to, you guys are having a triple tag team match with the Red Max, and then you get your own torch. So like I guess at that point in time, when you started doing your own thing, what were you getting into making?
Oh man, it's that learning how to make just basic stuff, like I was just pumped on making a hitter, a spoon, or something functional, like um, wigwags really intrigued me, line work, it reminded me of graffiti a lot, like Adam G, Big Z, Worm, all kind of local dudes were doing these big graffiti-ass pieces, and like I totally wanted to do that kind of style, was inspired by it. So I just started off making whatever I could. Traditionally, a lot of little spoons, hitters, marbles, stuff to sell to keep going.
Yeah.
And then, it just eventually built and built with my skill set, my skill level as that built, really, I could always draw a really cool piece. I could never, to this day, I'm still working on making them out of glass. Like I could sit down and like draw, several different angles of a piece to scale. Executing it in glass is a whole different story.
Yeah, dude. Like I see some guys do like CAD drawings on a computer of like whatever bubbler. Like I had a customer of mine send me his CAD drawings of like his ideas that he had. It's like, bro, this is some scientific technical shit. Like,
Easy to draw. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that holds better on paper kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I draw everything, not everything, but if I have a piece that I want to make to scale or something, I definitely use graph paper, try it out, put it on the bench while I'm making it, so, hold everything up to it. It's like definitely big on drawing your art out to scale on graph paper. It really helps me keep everything tight in the way I want it and the way I envisioned it first try, without having to make it and be like, oh, that's a little too big, that's a little too small.
Yeah, smart.
So,
yeah, because nothing worse than trying to make like matching horns, and you got one in the kiln that's hot, and you're trying to like think about how big that fucking thing was. And if you just have it on paper, you can just kind of hold it over it, and then you can kind of adjust as you need to,
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah! So I guess from that point, then, seeing your work where it is now, you obviously have incorporated this graffiti in your art, in your painting, in a sense, into your work. So at what point in time down the road did that start happening?
Only a couple years ago, I started really getting into just like focusing on drawing, with Stringer. Got a couple good tips from some good friends on some techniques. There wasn't a lot of information at the time going around. Some filler videos, we did some webinars with like Yush and Nady through Glasscraft, but it was like fillas. So, there wasn't a lot of information going around about drawing. So I just started trying it, and it was really frustrating. I'm not gonna lie about that one.
Yeah, it's incredible. I have the utmost respect. Like my brother and I both took a quill class, and he was talking, showing us how had a general basic idea on just like starting off by doing little like, doing little dots and stuff like to kind of outline your image, in a sense, and you can knock them off and flick them off if they're, instead of melting them completely in. But then he started telling us about JWC and all the stuff he was doing and how intricate his work was, and spending like 40 hours on a pennant. And if one little thing went wrong, he'd fucking knock it in his water bucket and start all over again,
Yeah, that dude is on some different shit for sure, dude.
Yeah.
He is definitely one of the dudes I look up to for just cleanliness, technical ability, all of the above. His functionals and his drawings are just, can't beat that.
Shit's incredible. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's been fun too to see like through the evolution of this industry and how more people are teaching, like him, and you see other artists now kind of coming out and incorporating that kind of work in their own styles, but they're not imitating somebody else. They're using their own specific, perspective, I guess. I'm trying what I'm looking for here. And so, do you find like as you kind of evolve through your work that you then felt like you were kind of ready in a sense to kind of put that perspective into your work?
Yeah, definitely. Once my skill set caught up to my drawing ability, and I felt, it was kind of a little more on, started drawing a lot, it's still, it's the where I'm at with it. I don't get paid very good on it by any means. It's very time consuming. Like you said, a lot of it ends up in the water bucket. A lot of it's flawed. The tiniest little thing, you roll a little bit of color over one of your outlines and like, you can't get that back,
Yeah.
It's, it is what it is, you know. I'm working at it, trying to get better, trying to stay positive, you know. You know, there's a high that comes with nailing a drawing too, you know, after you spend so much time focused and, you know, focusing your energy on one thing, you know. To
Yeah.
nail one is just like this greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah, man, I completely agree, and I think that having that feeling, like I still get butterflies sometimes when I'm at the, like finished a piece and I'm going to the kiln to put it away, like adrenaline's pumping, you know, and you're super excited, but you're also kind of freaking out because you don't want this thing to drop or go in the kiln and hear cracking sounds and shit, you know.
You know you've dropped one too, right?
Oh,
right,
dude.
finish in the tongs.
The fucking worst is that when you because I make my own Kevlar tong wrapped, you know, thingies, finishing tools, and the worst is like forgetting to kind of season them in a sense with the flame to make it not so slick. And I've dropped. Hey, you back?
Yeah,
You
we're getting a little poor connection, but I
Yeah.
can still kind of hear you.
Cool. But yeah, there's definitely I've definitely dropped a couple pieces because I forgot to season them and get them so that they were grippy, and it just slips out of my fucking tongs on the way to the kiln. It's like, man, motherfucker. Yeah, and I do.
I think everybody's dropped a finished piece.
Yeah, and
going into the kiln.
The worst though, bro, is I do it at Disney sometimes, and you know, you got fucking 40 people watching you do this shit. Sometimes I'm glad it happens. I hate to say that, but it gives them appreciation that not everything we make comes out, and they can see why we charge what we charge for our shit. But inside, I'm like, man, this is some fucking bullshit, amateur shit right here. You know?
Yeah, it happens to the best of us, you know.
Yeah, it's so funny. So I guess to kind of back up too, early on, when you're, you know, making your oneies and your spoons and stuff, what was your way of kind of selling and marketing your stuff? Was it to friends, wholesalers, you know, shops in town?
You know, at the beginning it was just like we'd hit the road with the receipt book, hit every shop on the Front Range, you know, try to go make relationships, selling just proto, you know, try to get buy a new torch, new kiln, you know, turn your money over into more tools, be able to live and eat, you know. But yeah, it just started with the local shops and then until the trade shows, you know, and then we picked up some serious wholesalers back when trade shows were good, you know, back when you sell the whole table and take 10K in orders and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
The
good old days.
The good old days when the trade shows were a viable source.
Yeah.
They still can be, you know?
Yeah, totally. Just got to do it right. Got to evolve with the times.
Yeah. Constant progression.
Yeah, man. So I guess, you know, kind of in terms of evolving and your color work, did you find that you really were trying to like focus on that kind of stuff as well in your early work, or was it more like refining the techniques first before you started to really?
Man, I guess I was really inspired by that big old school bubbler horn line work style, you know, and like drawing didn't even seem feasible, you know, until I saw other people doing it. So, you know, I was really just, figuring out how to work colors, you know, doing big, whooshy, horny pieces that were kind of like inspired by the people I looked up to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when like Cowboy started doing some of that stuff, you know, just like the full wig wags, but then like the crazy ass wig wagged horns that were going along with them, you know, just crazy. And then like Nate Dizzle was doing his big ass shit, and Chris Carlson, you know, like all those cats.
I own a Dizzle piece, love that dude's work. You know, Colton, Big Z, Jason Lee, Yush, Adam G, all those dudes were like doing this big, just grand pipe stuff that was really impressing to me. You know, it reminded me of graffiti is really another thing. It was like 3D graffiti piece, you know. So
yeah,
that's really what
go on.
What brought me in.
Yeah, like you mentioned David Colton, like his work has always to me has been like, you know, that's obviously his style is that graffiti style, you know. He's a graffiti glass artist, you know, and it's amazing to see just the curves and turns and twists and, you know, all these welds and seals and looking at the stuff. And I've never actually seen his work. Like I've seen it in person, but I can like not held it in my hand. And I've always wondered, like, you know, looking at some of this stuff, like early on, I was seeing all these attachments and stuff. I'm like, man, is all this shit hollow? Is it solid? Like, what's all going on here? And how do these things function, you know? And then I started understanding about, you know, the sculptural aspect or adding horns to something, and those were all just like solid, like making a little character, and the arms and legs were actually solid. They weren't all hollow. So as technical as it could be, you know, it didn't have to be.
A lot of my first big pieces were like that. It would have like a, you know, a little functioning section in it, and then there'd be hollow horns and whooshes and wheel and all this stuff all over it that just had holes popped in it, and a lot of people were like tripped out by what was actually part of the piece. But you kind of tuck the function down in there,
Mm-hmm.
up in your design, and then just cover it and style, I guess.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Buck too. I love about his work. You could really hide
Yeah.
the function in terms of sculptural.
Yeah,
aspect.
banjo too.
Yeah.
Those builds he's been doing lately are just crazy. But same concept, little, the body's the functioning part, and then he's just embellishing around it. Very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess in terms of your production lines early on, were you doing like a run of something that was super consistent, or were you just kind of freeballing it and having fun with it?
For like the proto and stuff back in the day, or
Yeah, back in the day.
yeah, just like frit hitter, fucking frit spoon, a lot of frit proto. Started with, and then it moved into like we got a lathe at one point. I guess I'll get to that in the color company story. We got a lathe, so then it turned into oil rig proto, and I still make a ton of proto to this day just to stay in the shop, stay alive, feed my family.
Yeah.
Got a little girl now, so having the money coming in is very important. To keep this all going. So I'll do whatever. Up to this day, I would go make a frit spoon if I needed to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking, man. Because like in terms of perspective of a newer artist out there, or someone that's been doing it for 5 years, at the time, right now maybe not so much as it was, say, even just 5 years ago when when the rigs were really blowing up and people were getting a ton of fucking money for stuff. It's like everybody would want to just jump into making rigs right away without having to learn the basic fundamentals. And I kind of wonder those that did that, if either they're still in the game or if they realized they had to go way the fuck back to the very beginning and almost kind of start over in a sense to really understand, like, hey, I got to learn how to do wrapping rakes and frit spoons, that kind of shit. So
I've seen some kids come through our shop that came in that heavy rig era, and like that, I feel like the rig at one point became like the spoon.
Yeah.
And I have seen them revert and learn how to make spoons and make that cheap proto, and they're getting to the same spot, maybe just a little different path.
Cool. Yeah, and it's funny you say like the rig was a spoon because in a sense, price wise, the rig has become the spoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It's so crazy, man.
It's competitive out there. You really got to depend on solid accounts and good relationships, I feel like.
Yeah, and the relationship aspect is like one of the things I preach about the most, man. Just keeping a good rapport with shops, keeping in touch with them, not selling them janky shit. And if you do sell them janky shit,
being professional, being clean, totally. All of the above makes a happy buyer.
Yeah, the fact that you mentioned you guys had an invoice book. Like I used to give shops, I used to use an online app thing. I would just print out, I'm like, hey, you guys have a printer? And I'd email them my thing and they'd print out the invoice. And they're like, we wish artists would just walk in here with a fucking receipt book, so a piece of paper and a pencil. It's like, dude, people got to step their game up. So it's just it's professional.
I learned that from Smash. He's definitely been a big mentor. Turned me on to the whole thing. So he was toting the fucking receipt book and definitely turned me on to that. Plus about a bazillion other things down the road.
Right.
But that was one of the more professional things that especially with the times changing now. It's like shops more and more want professionalism. They want tax stuff. It's like we're moving into less of a gray area with this whole thing and more of a professional kind of thing. So it's it's been different adapting to it.
Yeah, tell me about it, bro. 20 years of watching the evolution going from underground to above ground to back to underground to above ground and then legalized. It's like it's been crazy, and it's gone from art, and it's still art, but it's gone from art to industry. And you got to be able to evolve, man, especially now with all the electronic stuff coming out. I think Puffco was awesome with their piece that they made to allow glass artists to incorporate their art into their machine instead of just having like a vape pen kind of thing. So,
yeah, definitely. I enjoy that convenience. I'm yet to make a Puffco attachment. Just like any free time I get, I'm trying to focus on doing the art stuff. And we have a pretty big production line that comes out of our shop that I always got production work, I guess, if I need it.
Do you guys like? Do you find that you still have like some of the same accounts that you've had for since early on?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a head shop in town called The Joint, Morgan over there. I remember when she opened the store, it was like 2 cases, and she'd buy like $150 worth of pipes from every artist in town just to be nice. And we've had a great relationship for, man, I don't know, decade almost now, as long as I've been blowing glass. And now she has 2 stores, crushing it. She buys a whole custom line of tubes and rigs from us with her decal on it. And it's like that with several other shops and a distributor or two. It's like old relationships that you just be real and a good person and take care of business, be professional, and things last.
Yeah, dude.
The one thing I see, quality work, and it
yeah,
really affects people wanting to buy glass from you.
Yeah, and I find too, like those, because I have a couple accounts myself. I mean, I haven't sold pipes, much less my glass to shops in probably over 2 years. But I had shops, and they were willing to buy the garbage I was making early on because they knew they could see my drive and my passion for what I was doing. And they helped support me get to a point to where I was able to upgrade my torch to what I have now. I mean, the same Carlisle I've been rocking for 20 years now almost, and then they were like the first, I'd go to them. They'd be the first shops that started getting the better quality stuff, got dibs in a sense on stuff. And, it's fun to have, as your relationship evolves, your glass is evolving as well because they're supporting your habit in a sense to allow you to do that. And it's, there's nothing better than that, man. And no matter if it's 10 years or 2 years or 20 years, just to keep those relationships strong is so important. And then you mentioned also, which I think is killer, is that you guys started creating a custom line of tubes for them with their logo on it. And those are the little kind of things, those little nuances of like a side hustle in a sense that I think is so important, to approach your shops and say, hey, I can do this. You can go find someone that can print out vinyl stickers for you if you can't afford to buy the machine, and sandblast a little logo of their name on a pipe. Now with Colorado, it's different with the legality of things now, because they can have that on a pipe. Where like in Florida, for instance, a lot of shops, because I used to approach shops with that, and they were like, yeah, we don't really know if we want to have someone getting arrested with our name on the piece, kind of thing.
That makes sense. I never thought about it like that.
So yeah, and living here in Florida, man,
but that custom decal line's been good for us, and it's given the people what they want in the sense of the shop production. It's like if you're making production, it's like better to walk in there and kind of be like, what do you need? What can I make for you?
Exactly.
Instead of being like, I have this, buy it. If you have a good relationship with them and you're comfortable talking, and just throwing ideas out there.
No, dude, that's I did a 5-part series on, it was called So You Want to Be a Glassblower, and part of it was like when you move into a new town that you're not familiar with the shops, and that's, you go out and if you look at the shops in your area and you go in there and don't tell them you're a glassblower, but just kind of fill them out and take notes, mental notes, and then eventually you can go in there and
cases, look prices, it's like you don't want to be underselling your glass, you don't want to be overselling your glass, and it might change state to state, so it's like you want to, I don't know, you do want to kind of scout the head shop a little bit and feel them out, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah, because nothing's worse, man, than walking into a store and be like, hey, I'm a fucking glass blower, man, you guys want to buy some shit? They're like, oh, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, especially with the amount of glass blowers now, especially in Colorado, it's easy to get turned away if you come in with the wrong attitude.
Yeah, man, that's what I was kind of curious too with asking about the relationships, because just Denver alone, it's like such a saturated place and an economy of pipes and glass blowers, and Fort Collins, where you guys are out in the boondocks out there, it's maybe not as much. However, Colorado overall has a lot of fucking glass blowers over there, and it's it's understandable why people want to move there for the laws, but it's kind of like I told my brother when he was told, mentioned he was moving out there, I'm like, I was super happy for him because he was getting the hell out of Florida, but going to Colorado as a pipe maker, as a new pipe maker in a sense too, finding his way was a huge risk. Obviously,
yeah, you're coming to the Thunderdome of pipe sales here.
Great way to put it.
On your A game if you want to sell some pipes, but Jared, he's got a great work ethic and does great work, so he's fit in well, out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
sells work online and to shops. So he seems like he's doing great.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, because I know right now in the economy and the industry, there's a lot of artists, high end and low end artists that are struggling out there right now, and it's I don't know if it's a perspective, an attitude, or unable to let go of like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea what would cause one certain person to struggle, but it could be a multitude of things for different people, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. You just got to stay current and stay relevant, I
yeah, and
guess. I
evolve.
don't know. I don't know. Yeah, and be willing to do whatever. It's like I'm in the touching glass, but it's not always art glass.
Yeah,
It might be Vastax or Proto or whatever it might be. But I'm in the shop. I'm touching glass. I'm learning. I'm talking about glass, conversing with my shop mates. I'm in the scene, so it's worth it to me just to be in the glass shop. I'll do whatever I have to do to be here. I love it.
yeah, yeah.
I would change it for the world.
Hell yeah. So that being said, with the shopmates, so obviously, the three of you guys were still together, as you're working as a triple tag team in a sense, and
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
guys,
We started our first little studio together.
yeah. So going from the one little space and one torch to two torches. So at that point in time, like, what'd you guys do to grow from there?
It got cramped, and I was like, man, let's go rent a space, and we ended up renting a little 600 square foot. I think they rent them for storage now. They won't even rent them to like working businesses. They're
Yeah.
so small. It was pretty much a storage unit, and the 600 feet and really included a little mezzanine. So it was really only about 400 square feet, but we crammed a table in there, some K tanks and a couple propane bottles, and we went for it for a couple years. From about 2011 to 2013, we were in the little timberline shop just learning.
Was it a
taking
wide
class.
storage unit or was it deep?
No, it was like long and deep.
Yeah, like a tunnel.
Yeah, like the tunnel. And we went and put a big square table right in the middle of it.
Nice. How'd you guys ventilate that thing?
We went to this place called Uncle Benny's, and it was like a secondhand junkyard, town over, and we went and got 18-inch spiral duct, an old greenhouse fan, and framed up a hole in the wall for the greenhouse fan, connected it to this duct, and then we had a 6x10 hood built by a friend down in Denver, and we connected it all. It actually was really good ventilation
I
for our
bet.
first shop.
Yeah, because most like
Uh,
storage units, I'm thinking like concrete walls or whatever, and you can't cut holes in them. And because I looked into that myself early on, was like a storage unit because I thought, man, it's like $40 a month. It might cost me to rent this place, type of thing. But
yeah,
I couldn't figure out how to ventilate it except for to hang like a two box fans or some shit from the door with the door open, and then everybody driving by with all their other shit, seeing all my glass blowing, pipe making going on.
yeah. The spot was weird. Our second timberline shop ended up being right across the street. So it's like half of these buildings are really large, big industrial things, and then there's this little section about storage unit style buildings, size buildings that we started in. But the construction out here is a little different. We get a lot of like wood framing, wood
Oh,
drywall
okay.
stuff. I know Florida has a lot of that cement brick stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier to cut a hole in the wall, frame a header and a sill in and place a fan than going through brick, I would imagine. I've never had to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't
So,
want to, but I know people that have like in their garage or something like that. Just to make a hole in the wall for a fan.
yeah.
So you said you guys then moved right across the street. That was like the next expansion. So you guys are
Yep.
slow
So,
growing.
yeah, we were sitting there. There was a space that came up right across the street. The Timberline Studios shop, man. I love that shop. It was about 2,500 square feet.
Nice.
It's a little office, little cold working room, little gallery, really old building, pretty janky. And it was a grow, this is all happening
Interesting.
right when the medical thing's blown up. So it was a grow prior, and the people had put like a bunch of 8-inch holes through the roof. And the landlord said one thing, is like, don't put any more fucking holes in the roof. They all were leaking up on us when we first got in there.
Oh
So we
man.
ended up, collectively gathering up some bunch of 8-inch inline grow fans, buying some from the store, and actually having to use these old holes to ventilate that shop, which wasn't ideal, but it worked. And I think for the first year I had a gutter on my hood above me, because the hole that my fan went out would leak onto the hood, down it, and right onto me. So I made a little gutter that went into a bucket.
Oh man, ultimate rain barrel there for you.
Yeah, definitely. Then I showered in the water later,
That's
No,
amazing.
it wasn't quite that heady. Um, but yeah, man, I love that shop. I learned a lot in that shop. We worked there from about 2013 till, about the beginning of this year. We moved to our new location. Learned a lot in that shop. It was great experiences, great memories with everybody.
It's amazing though, bro, when you get, because I had I think it was 1,800 square foot was like the biggest space I eventually got, and it was like, I mean, I didn't know what to do with the space. Like, it was just like, my God,
Yeah.
you have all these ideas, and you can, you got to grow slow because you can drop $10,000 like in a fucking heartbeat, but. You go into these spaces and you got to like lay it out and design it and figure it out, make it functional. I mean, you guys, you said it had a small office, which is awesome. The space I had didn't have that, and I wanted to build like a small office, so I could do my podcasting in it and that kind of stuff,
Yeah, back to that, these were all framed out by people that didn't know what they were doing. Some people were living in this unit for a long time, and we would watch it from our old shop. There was a lot of ongoings in that area that were pretty sketchy. It was like the rooms were framed out in like OSB, no ventilation, no heating, but it was a room that was dedicated for like a fridge and a desk, and it was a good beginner spot.
Makes you humble.
Yeah, definitely. Where we are now is really really special, coming into something.
Yeah, man.
Something from.
Yeah, so now you guys got this brand new, beautiful. I mean, talking like the view, the space, the location where you guys are at, man. Like, and I felt blessed to be up there and be a part of it. To help kind of.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, dude. I took a welding class that morning. You guys were all working. Pre-planned way prior, but I wish I could have got some working with you. But it was good to, just have a little get together with everybody. I made it for the end, hung out, had some beers. It was a good time.
Yeah,
we was glad to have you out, buddy.
Clog the toilets up. Like, we literally put that place to the fucking edge of whatever could be done with it.
Yeah, so we figured that one out. They never turned on. There's a little thing that helps the stuff flow into the main sewer, and the people who installed it never plugged it in. So they come out and check it out, and the guy's like, oh, this isn't even plugged in, and kind of like plugs it in, and was like, you should be good. So the grinder pump that pushes everything out into the main sewer wasn't even on.
Yeah, the garbage disposal for your toilet.
Yeah, it works good now.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we had to test it out. It was good to work the kinks out like that,
Yeah, and I mean, it's cool to to hear the story in the background now and really get a feeling for it, because so many people, like I said, they want to just get up and fucking run as fast as you can and grow too fast and then fall flat on your face. Next thing you know, you're getting a job somewhere because you're fucking broke, So it's so important, and it's I think even more difficult for people to work with each other, and the fact that you guys, as long as you've known each other since middle school,
Oh yeah, I've known Ben Smash Glass since junior high. Since I moved here, we've been homies, and past another one of our in-house artists here. We all went to school together, and it's never, I'm not going to say it's easy working with your
I get it.
friends sometimes, but at the same time, we know each other well enough to know, I think, when to lay off, or when someone's having a bad day and shit like that,
Yeah. So I guess in terms of like the business side of things, did you guys like have specific roles that you did to kind of like, one kept the books, one did this and that, or did you guys kind of all have like a...
At first, like, I had a truck, so I got the propane. Ben arranged the oxygen deliveries. Jake took care of the electricity. That was like in our first shop,
Yeah.
We just divvied it up. And we still do, we each spearhead certain parts of the business that needs to be taken care of. And then we help each other and counter check everything as well too, just to make sure that everything's right, and we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the important part is being able to help each other, but also like delegating specific roles so that each person's responsible for something specific. So then and trust them that that's getting taken care of. It's like having a CEO and a vice president and a president for companies and stuff. It's
Yeah, of course we're still learning as always,
Yeah.
and we're learning how to communicate and do all this business stuff that wasn't originally part of the plan, but we're just rolling with it, figuring it out, making it work, making it work together. And I think that's important, being able to, put all your differences aside and, make it work and communicate with someone enough to not get pissed and blow up and leave. And,
Mm-hmm.
it really helps get stuff done,
Yeah.
over long time.
Have you guys looked into like taking like business classes together in a sense?
Actually, not together, but I've contemplated, we've talked about it. Like, man, we should go. They do a lot of stuff at the community college here, business classes, and we have talked about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wouldn't hurt because, we're just taking it as it comes right now, figuring it out.
Yeah, it's good though, man, to do that kind of stuff. I mean, like podcasts and stuff are great to listen to understand it, but to have like someone that gives you a book that says, "Okay, here's how you do bookkeeping," or
Yeah,
whatever.
and after I took that welding class, not when you were here, and that was really like the intro sucked to sit through, but I learned a lot about just the basics in welding that I didn't know, different styles, different gas, yada, 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 and like retained it because it was in a classroom setting.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like your buddy in the garage being like, da, 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 so I really feel like it would be beneficial at this point.
Yeah, 100%. Because it makes a big difference, man. Especially just you guys can get you've got the glass fundamentals, so you might as well get some good business fundamentals too in there.
Yeah, definitely. Could use all the help I can get in that. I am definitely the artist mindset.
Yeah, totally. And that's why I want to do this podcast because, like, to me, with the pipe industry, especially, it's such an easy business in terms of like not having a whole lot of overhead, compared to like a big, clothing company or whatever, a grocery store or whatever, And so there's some real basic stuff that you can do, and I'm glad we're having this discussion because I talked to a lot of artists on here, and a lot of artists, they want to direct me to their accountant or don't want to talk about the business side of things because either they don't know about it or they just don't really. It's not a priority for them, and it's like, well, you can only be successful for so long if you're not really paying attention to the books, because you got to pay your taxes, which you and I were talking about the other day, fuck.
Yeah, we just rolled through our taxes, and it wasn't fun. Never fun getting that bill at the end of the year, or it's the end of tax season, and it's just like with the way things have gone, no one, I remember when I first started, it was like hush hush, cash kind of thing,
Yeah.
Pipe making was in that gray area. Now it's moved into the legit side of things. So you got to come correct really to do it. I feel like,
How do you guys deal with the banking industries? And because I know like a lot of banks, if you're tied to a grow or a smoke shop, if it says the name of the smoke shop on there,
oh, man,
they won't.
Yeah,
accept
I know some of our smoke shops are constantly switching freaking banks over CBD and Kratom or whatever it might be. They're having a flip flop. We haven't had any issues.
Nope. I'm listening to you, dude, a little bit.
Luckily, the Colorado Color Company's, a material company, so that one's pretty safe. But my personal one, I guess it could be any time I could get that that denial from the bank, but it hasn't happened yet. So
yeah,
keep riding with it, I guess.
Yeah, man. So you brought the name up, Colorado Color Company. So let's get into that talk. So you guys move. You guys had the space previous to where you're at now. So at what point in time did you guys come together and start deciding that you want to kind of expand the business in a sense and not just focus on pipe and production, but actually create this material?
Man, so it all happened. I think we started the company in 2016, but prior to that, we'd had a really good trade show, and we both did really well. And we were like, man, let's go get a lathe. So borrowed a car trailer, took my truck out to Chicago, saw Brandon out at Mouse Machine Works, and we got Heathway from him, a rebuilt Heathway, and didn't know much about lathes at the time. And we showed up, and we heard 6-foot bed, yada yada yada. We show up, that's like 6 foot between the chucks.
Yeah.
It's like a 9-10 foot lathe. Luckily, we brought a big car trailer, so we ended up with this big lathe. It's a great machine. I still love it. I run it pretty much daily. But we brought it back, set it up, started running it, and we started doing vac stacks just for ourselves. And then the lathe was so big that we started full sticks. We got a really good technique for doing it. But, we're still refining that technique to this day.
Yeah.
But, we had a good technique, and all of a sudden we had bins and bins and bins of vac stack tubing that I personally couldn't even work through unless I wanted to make rainbow pattern for the next 2 years. So we just started selling it around town, selling it to the people in our shop. In about 2015, we just had excess of material. And then, Smash put some, it was like some double layered, cool UV stringer stuff. He put it up on the Big Cartel and sold it. And, we just kind of had that thought, man, we got bins of material, the ability to make this stuff, let's start a tubing company. And so we started Colorado Color Company in 2016.
Nice. So I guess early on with the vac stacking, because I know myself personally, when the vac stack, I was doing stick stacks, type of stuff forever before the vacuum was incorporated into it, using a wood mandrel or whatever for the core in a sense, just to hold all my shit together. And then I started seeing the vac stack and stuff coming up, and I'm like, man, this makes more sense because not only are you adding more clear and making the shit go further, but you're also sucking out the air with the vacuum and getting all the air bubbles out of it. You're getting more material in the long run for things. So is that kind of for you guys, was it just kind of...
I came into glass where, vac stack was... I didn't really get into the stick stack. Vac stack was the standard kind of when we were getting into it. Yeah. I did some drawing lines, stretching the tubing out, some stuff like that. But as soon as we saw vac stack, it was hooked up the shop vac to, a little 50 by 5 outer diameter vac stack, and we were pulling little 50 by 5 stacks down. And then we bumped it up to, outside 75 by 5. We were doing those by hand for our personal stuff, half sticks. Jesus. Pretty hot, pretty hot process. Yeah. Get your Carhartt smoking.
Yeah.
And then that was part of the reason of buying a lathe. It's man, fuck holding these things. Let's go get a lathe. We did really good at that trade show. Yeah. So that's kind of where that came from, I guess.
Hell yeah. So then as you start to grow this company and you're creating all this tubing, did you start to find your background in art and the painting and the color kind of helped you to figure out specific patterning that you guys were using, or was it just kind of fucking around and experimenting?
No, yeah, there's definitely how would you say it, set layouts that we like to use that, mm-hmm. we personally feel look good, 50-50s, especially, 50-50 patterns. So, there's certain stuff we definitely focus on that we personally like the aesthetic of. With our motto is for artists by artists. So we make this at the end of the day for ourselves and for a production line too. So we want it to look good for our stuff too. So
yeah, and then figuring out the certain colors that work, because there's nothing worse, dude, than pulling down a tube with some unobtainium and shit, and then just that line cracks. You know what I mean?
Oh man, yeah.
Or black.
Unobtainium. I love that color, but you cannot case it.
Yeah, exactly.
You learn those the hard way, and we still, any new color that drops, we'll test. We'll do a full stack of. We'll buy some of it. Fuck with it. See how it stacks. See how it works in general. Mm-hmm. Just for ourselves as artists. You never know what kind of application you might run across.
Yeah.
Whether it's encased or raw or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
it's fun with the color company. We usually get all the new colors and fuck with them a little bit just to see where they would fit in well.
Yeah, and that was kind of my thought too, because certain colors react better when they're exposed to the flame, the chemistry, compared to if it's got a sleeve over it, there's no exposure whatsoever. Like amber purple, for instance, so there's certain things out there, in terms of vac stacking, like doing a ball of, tubulation aspect or quill potting tends to work a little better with certain colors. Did you guys find too, like, you're saying the experimentation of things, like, was that part of the deal too for you guys?
Oh yeah. Um, we're still experimenting with new colors and old colors,
Yeah.
I guess with my drawing now too, that's opened up a whole nother window into like all these colors I couldn't use before. A little off subject here, but like spring purple and guacamole and like stuff like that I've had that I didn't know was bad when I was young. Not bad, but I didn't know it was hard to work. I would just go to Glasscraft in Denver and buy what I thought was cool, unknowing what was workable and what was hard. But now with some years under my belt and a little more color knowledge, been able to work some of these harder to work colors, and it's been fun, dude. It's like colors that you are like, oh, I love that color, but can't work it. What the fuck?
Yeah, interesting. I didn't think about that too, because if you're trying to pull a stack down and a couple of those colors that are like really stiff aren't going to pull down the same as what else is, being, mixed to it, in a sense.
Yeah, we try to keep our vac stacks pretty even. We still, you get some colors that, the viscosities are different, and one side is really soft and like one side is really hard. A fade to clear would be the best example of a off, lopsided vac stack.
Yeah.
But we try to we test and we work all this stuff into pieces, and so we'll cut out the really really hard to work ones unless they're like epically visually cool,
Mm-hmm.
So we try to keep it workable for ourselves and for other people.
Are you finding too, because I know like certain colors, you go do a vac stack and it still leaves like the ridge, like you can still tell it was a vac stack instead of being like a smooth transition of color. I mean, is that something that issue-wise you either want that effect or you don't want that effect? Like, is there like a certain opinion you guys have? Like in terms of also from feedback too, from your customers, 'cause I'm sure you guys get a ton of feedback like, man, this shit fucking sucks, or this shit's amazing,
Yeah. Are you talking like solid color stacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a vac stack. That's just the nature of the vac stack. It's going to be liney. Even if you throw stringers in there, it's liney. Mm-hmm. We pull a rainbow just to go with everything, of the solid color stuff. And then, new hype stuff to test it. We'll just pull a solid stack of it, see how it works. It's definitely been a lot less popular, the solid stuff. People are into the blowouts and the coil pots and sleeving, all that stuff, which every different colors have different applications,
right? Yeah.
But yeah, the lininess of a solid vac stack is just, there's no getting away with it without it. It's just going to be there. There's some that are really really hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Like blacks. I've used black for a long time. Black vac stacks are great. Really hard to see the lines. That was one of the first hard to work colors that I really liked. The vac stacked well. I don't know. It's really up to the artist, up to the market they're selling it in.
Mm-hmm.
What they can get for their stuff, their experience level, whether or not they want to use the solid stuff. We have been selling a lot more of the classic alternating color pattern stuff lately. And that, that's probably the true good nature of the vac stack, is to get that pattern by alternating the colors like that,
Right. I mean, like for me personally, like, even with my brother too, and he's had the kind of the same opinion, is like, I like pulling, like I just did the other day, I pulled a vac. I don't even know what the hell, it's a purple CFL. It's like the Chinese purple amethyst, but it's a North Star version. And, it's, when I pulled it down, there was still, and I don't know, I'm almost positive it's because the glass was still a little dirty. Like I cleaned the shit out of everything.
Oh man,
you know
yeah,
I mean?
you gotta be sterile, gloves,
yeah, totally,
and ISO, the whole nine. We have a really sterile process. Dirt will fuck a backstack up.
Yeah. And that's, I was kind of wondering if that was
whatever.
what the issue was. But I know certain colors that still will do that naturally, just because of the nature of the color. You know, if you blow it out thin, it looks like it's all one buttery smooth piece of colored tubing. But then when you you can do a wigwag pattern, and if you hold it up to the light, you can see that wigwag pattern in the piece, even though it looks completely translucent. And for me personally,
the ghost wigwag.
Yeah, dude, I love that.
Some people trip on that. There's some people that use our tubing and did full ghost wigwag pieces. You know.
Yeah. I love it. Do you guys also do like a double clear? Because like for instance, I know back in the day when Chris Carlson, when he used to go by LA Glass, like this is fucking 15 years ago, and he was doing he was one of the first people I saw take a Rasta wig, like a Rasta stack, and then sleeve that again to water it down even more so that the Crayola colors were like translucents. And so I looked fucking badass, and so I started doing that myself. I'm like, damn, this makes sense. So, it makes your color go further, but also gives it can take a cadmium color and make it translucent, in a sense.
Yeah, I guess just cutting it down.
Yeah, so have you guys experimented with that?
No, but with glass and the material, anything, art's infinite. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And get these aesthetics you're looking for, if you want watered down look and it goes well with what you're trying to accomplish, there's like infinite possibilities.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing with glass, man, being an artist. When I have customers at work, they're like, oh, just be an artist, have fun. I'm like, I need some fucking parameters, please.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking when like someone asks you for like a custom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually ask for like basic color. I don't do a lot of customs. I'll do them for my friends and stuff like that. Or if someone's willing to pay, there's an upcharge on my custom stuff. If you want it, you're actually going to pay more in case it breaks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if it's something I'm constantly making, I'm pretty efficient at it. If it's something out of the norm, I'm probably going to fuck it up once.
Yeah.
So I ask for basic colors, and to kind of keep it in my style. And this is very rare that I ever do any custom work anymore.
Yeah. Same
I just made a set of wine glasses for my buddy's anniversary though, and it was really fun. I love making cups. Learned from a good buddy, Kerry Hollenberg, C. Martin Glass. Gave me some cup demos classes early on. And, he took classes from all the old Italian guys. So, man, there's nothing like nailing a good cup.
Oh, tell me about it.
Wine glass.
Yeah, dude, and you can get that ring out of it. Cause like I used to make wine glasses, and my Dave Walker over at Zen, he would take my cup and he'd flick it, and he's like, "Hear that thud? Now listen to my cup." And then you get that ring, and I'm like, makes total sense because mine were too thick and they were chunky, So.
Yeah. It's really like a delicate thing that's nailing. Very skilled, and I like it. When I nail one, I feel really good. It's just like a drawing. It's something I've spent years trying to perfect, and they don't all come out perfect, but when you get that one that's got the perfect lip, nice foot, it's just like, it feels good.
And then you got to make a set.
Yeah. Oh man. So usually how I do that is I'll make, twice as many tops and feet as I need, and then I'll arrange them.
Mm-hmm.
So that, if someone asks me for glasses, that comes into play. It's like, I got to make twice as many tops, unless you're okay with a little variance,
Yep.
If they're okay with a little variance, which people usually are, it makes it look more handmade too. But,
yeah.
If you really want like a set, you got to make more than just, the amount you're shooting for.
Yeah, it's so true, dude. I completely agree. I've had to do that over the years, just make 10 cups, and only 2 are the ones that you want to actually use for a set.
Yeah, and you can always, the extra ones that are a little different, always make like you stick a foot on it, give it to someone for their birthday, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
There's not like it's unusable. It's it's there.
Yeah, completely, man. And I wouldn't even call them seconds either. They're still first quality. If it looks good, it's even and consistent. It's what I like about them. It's fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So do you guys have like visions for the future with the studio space?
We're gonna try to do some classes and stuff. We're just figuring out the logistics of that at the moment.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Insurance waivers, it's all crazy business stuff that is no fun. But we're working on it. Hopefully we'll get some classes rolling. We got a lot of people from the college here wanting to take 101 classes. We built a couple extra spaces, maybe get some new faces in the shop, and just continue to, work with glass, expand. We're not just solely going to stick to backstacks either. We have some plans of doing some other styles of things, and we have the power and the space for it now. So we'll see it. We're just kind of letting it happen at the moment, and letting things fall into place. Because it all takes time, and sometimes you just can't force those dreams you have right into action.
Yeah.
You got to work hard and just kind of let it take shape and let it happen.
Yeah, man, I agree, dude. And like in terms of my influences and my most of my life, as I've from a child on, like my two biggest influences, Walt Disney and Vince McMahon. And Walt for the living out your dreams and starting off with nothing to create something, and sacrificing and all that kind of stuff. But
Walt Disney's a crazy story of that.
Yeah, man. Dude, right? But like with Vince McMahon, and he's kind of the same kind of thing. He didn't go rags to riches, but still taking this thing and then turning it into a business that tells a story. And I watch these. I've been watching wrestling since I was in like 5th grade, so fucking going on 35 years almost now.
Nice, die hard.
Oh yeah, dude, like totally. Like WrestleMania was this past weekend. Like I wasn't missing it, kind of thing. But character development and these wrestlers, it might take them. Like Kofi Kingston's a wrestler I've been watching forever. He's 11 years been in professional wrestling, and he just now had an opportunity to go for the championship belt. And it was a complete fluke in a sense for him to have this opportunity because the guy that was supposed to be in his place had gotten injured. So they went to him to say, hey, man, why don't you come in and, be a part of this story now in a sense. And then one thing led to another. But it took him 11 years of humping and busting his ass, having an amazing fucking attitude the entire time, being humble.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it takes.
Totally. It's just all about being dedicated. You can't jump around and be flip-flopping and blah, blah, blah. You got to just like, here's where I am now. Here's my goals. It might take me 20 years to get there. I mean, for myself, I'm living out my dreams on a daily basis, and every time I go there to work, it's still surreal for me after being there for 7 years. But ever since I was a child.
That's good, dude. That makes your life happy.
Oh yeah, totally, bro. Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. It's like finding the dream, and then like, okay, what do I need to do to get to that point? Listen to the whispers in the winds, and look for doors opening and that kind of stuff. But also having the patience and the know-how just to have the patience, just to be like, it's that whole Tortoise and Hare story,
Yeah. When me and Ben first started this, we had a pretty serious conversation about a 10-year plan,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at it now, thinking of it, we're way ahead of what we really wanted to accomplish, and it's, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of doing it with one of my best friends. Our 10-year plan was pretty basic, but it was a goal to shoot for in a okay amount of time. And we've been working hard at it, and I feel like we've surpassed it. It's something to be proud of. I'm stoked on it, stoked at where I am, dude.
Bro, I'm proud of you guys, and I've just barely know you,
thank you.
But I was like, but still, it's like, I feel like I've known you guys for a long time. Like when I came to the shop and met you guys, it was like I've known you all forever, and I don't know if my brother was a part of that whole thing, but just
we worked with Jared for a year, solid. We became very good friends with Florida. He's still in the posse,
Yeah.
He's in his garage now grinding. We moved a little north, so didn't come with us, but we're we still converse and chat about art, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. And you guys are still you're humble about stuff, and you're about opening your doors and all the stuff that you guys have been doing since day one. You're still doing, and I think that's what really separates what you guys are doing compared to like some corporate entity that's like got a bunch of chicks hanging out with them and trying to sell the sex side of things to make themselves blow up. Like all this other crazy shit you see on social media these days. And you guys are just keeping it real and humble, man. So, more power to you.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, social media is a trip, you can do crazy shit and get attention. I don't know. billion ways to get attention. Making it last is the trick, I think, which I still haven't figured out. I'm just letting the thing build, just trying to move slow, move precise, make good work, be honest, do the thing right.
Yeah, in all realities, dude, 10 years, you guys like just got your foot in the door, really, at this point.
Yeah, I think, it was all started around 2010, so we're only at about 9 years right now. But it's been an everyday lifestyle.
Yeah.
We're in here on the weekends, it's like it became a lifestyle really quick, more than a job.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Lifestyle is exactly it. Completely agree 100%. But also, having family and stuff now and being a dad, so you understand too how important the family time is because, man, like my daughter's 20 now and it's amazing.
Oh yeah, she came out with you. That's a trip. Yeah, you got it. You've been through it. I'm still fresh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
amazing.
the kid totally changed my lifestyle. We were going to shows and like since I was, a young kid, we, music scene heavily every weekend, I still go see or and we'll take the kid to the mellower shows and it's been good, it's been a fun life change and man, my little daughter just fucking melts my heart, dude. She's something about that.
Oh yeah, bro, having a girl is a whole different thing for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It's awesome.
Definitely. She's rad. We went fishing the other day. She's catching fish. She's just like almost 3. So she's getting real interactive, being able to go out, do fun things, so
too cool.
It's been cool. It's changed it's changed my motivation, I definitely make less art, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just part of life. I need to provide for my family. So focus a lot more on production and, the Colorado Color Company stuff. And then I sneak my art in when I can now. But, wife and happy little baby there I love, So it just life changes, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good you can recognize that, man. Because I know myself at my early 20s, getting into glass. I mean, I guess I started at 23 now, so I was pretty immature about everything for a long time, and still trying to run a business and work at shit. But I'd kind of let a lot of things outside of the glass just go fizzle away, and because I wasn't focusing and taking the time off to dedicate, to that, I was just like go, and that shit will kill you.
It feels like that for me a lot. I'm not, not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm going constantly. I have a full plate for sure. It's stressful. It is wearing and tiring, but that is life.
Yeah, and having the support though, like having your wife understanding. I mean, she got, in a sense, you guys, knowing your all story and having hung out with you guys, all the couples, and you all have known each other. All of you guys have known each other since early on, so it's kind of fun to see this whole,
I've been with my wife over a decade now, and we just got married a couple years back, but we were together before that for at least a decade, so we know each other. We know each other really well.
Yeah.
But she's the one for me, and it was really, it was never really about a traditional wedding. I always thought, if you love someone, you should just be able to tell them,
Mm-hmm.
But we had a traditional wedding, and it was so fucking fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was one of the best days of my life. I was really nervous leading up to it, but after it was all said and done, very cool experience.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, that's the best.
Yeah. Leading up to it, though, I was sweating.
Understandable. Yeah, but it's funny, man. Once you make that, like, it's like, oh, I got a commitment, but it's like I've been committed for 10 years, so what's the fucking difference? We're just signing papers, having a party.
Yeah, yeah. The party was really, really fun, actually.
Yeah, that's
really
fun.
That's the best. All the families got together, all the friends got together, and we just had a good old-fashioned party. It was good.
I like to get married once a year just to have that party.
Yeah, there's something about that wedding vibe too, where like it would be hard to have a bad one. I've never been to a wedding where like even if shit goes wrong, it's a wedding, so everybody's still like making the best of it, and there's just this like love vibe going around. Where we could have a fake one every year.
Yeah, exactly. Be awesome. Let me know next time so I can be there.
Yeah, hopefully there won't be a next time. Maybe we'll do like the renew your vows kind of shit or something.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Hell yeah, man. Well, I think that'd be a good spot for us to take a quick break and thank some sponsors, and then we'll come back, and it'll be time for us to crash a kiln.
Awesome. Sounds good, brother.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.
All right, man, we're back. So Crashing the Kiln round consists of 7 questions. Or if you want to give me a 30 to 60-second answer, or you can expound upon them as well, as we always tend to do here. And the first question I always like to ask is if there's any living glass artists that you like to collab with and work with and have not yet, and who is it and why?
Oh, man. We talked about WJC. That dude, just his drawing ability and his technical stuff. Would love to not even collab with him, just see his process. But, any of the big drawing guys, Punny, Cold Drink, I would love just to be able to hang out with those guys. Banjo, this is going more than just one.
It's cool.
Banjo's on the total other end of doing these grand builds with really, and lots of embellishments off a functional center. Yush, same deal. Yush has got that mashup. So, for that question, I would say you, because we missed it out. We missed out on it while you were out here. So beyond all those guys and their cool technical abilities, I would have liked to got one in with you while you were here.
Yeah, dude. I'm actually already making plans to head back out there.
Maybe we can get one in. I got that little frog you made me for my birthday up on my mantle.
Oh, nice.
I was actually just looking at it the other day. So thank you for that birthday present too, by the way.
Yeah, it was fun to get to make that be the first thing I made in the studio to kind of break it in for you guys, and I had to give it to you.
Yeah, it's very meaningful.
Awesome. This is gonna be
next time you come out, we'll get one in.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And this is probably gonna be a hard question for you, but what are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
Oh man, I said this earlier, but it's like those hard colors that eluded me in my early on career, like spring purple, guacamole. That teal magenta is really hot. Any of that new Molten Aura stuff they're putting out, it's pretty vibrant and cool. A little different from the palette I've seen in a while. Siberia, and then the blizzards too. Really workable colors. They look all stony and weird, but I've been digging the blizzards.
They're expensive as fuck, though. I couldn't believe when I went out there and saw the prices on, because I hadn't actually seen them online yet. But I was like, oh my god, some of
it's all Trotman stuff is a little more pricey usually.
Yeah, but it's worth it though, I think. And in the end,
yeah, he makes great color.
To me, it's like it's like a fine small batch whiskey or something like that.
Yeah, I guess they're merging with North Star or something. I don't know the details, but we'll see how that all plays out. I guess maybe the color costs will come down on those colors.
Yeah. Be nice, because I know when the Illuminati came out and Abe was all about keeping that shit cheap, or at least I shouldn't say cheap, but affordable. For us, even though it was super hype. It's always good to see.
Yeah, North Star has that good color program.
Yeah. Number 3 is, what is your worst injury in the studio?
Man, nothing substantial. I've always hurt myself more skateboarding, snowboarding. Than coming into the shop and not being able to work. But, cuts, burns, fucking shit will put you out for a couple of days while your hands heal.
Yeah.
The hot glass down the shirt every once in a while or stick to the neck. But, I got all my digits, all my eyes. I'm going to knock on some wood.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm doing the same thing here, my friend.
Nothing crazy, I've opened my hand up pretty good where it's just gushing blood, yada, 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 but never any Ditches, yeah. From, I don't know. I'm gonna keep knocking on wood. Let's change the subject.
When you're in the studio, do you listen to the radio, watch TV, or do both?
Oh man, I'm music all day. There's something about music that just puts me in the right headspace to create art, you know?
Yeah.
Hip hop, jam bands, fucking bluegrass, whatever it might be. Man, like, if there's some weird fucking country on the radio, I'll be tapping my foot, bobbing my head. I don't even know if it matters what kind of music is on, just that it's on.
Hell yeah. I think that's the one nice thing with the Pandoras and stuff out there nowadays is to be able to not get burnt out on, you know, because I had like the same 5 CDs I listened to every day for fucking a decade, you know. It's like, God, I'm over this shit.
Yeah.
You know, and then Pandora started really jamming out some stuff, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. I've been doing a lot of, you know, discographies through Spotify. You know, just listening to artists I like from their first album, their last. Oh, excuse me.
Fascinating.
And it's cool to see, you know, artist progression like that, like we've kind of talked about mine today, which I rarely do in this magnitude. But it's cool to hear someone's first album to their current work, you know. So I've been doing a lot of that on Spotify, like choosing an artist and listening to every one of their albums through in sequence.
Do you find as much as you appreciate that, though, that a lot of times you prefer their older shit?
You know, one of the first ones I did was Wiz Khalifa, and I wasn't like a giant Wiz fan because he was so poppy. Not poppy, he was just mainstream, you know. But one of my friends was like, you need to check this out, you know. And man, his first shit is so hot, like Pittsburgh Sound. Man, just some old heat, you know.
Yeah.
So it gave me appreciation of where he came from and appreciation for his music now. And, you know, it's hard. Sometimes you make assessments and
I lost you there.
It's like, sometimes you make judgments and assessments on like people and music or whatever it might be without fully knowing the background or what, you know, the whole story. So I feel it's good to be open-minded and until you really know you don't like something or something's wrong or whatever it might be. Just keep an open mind.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting to say that. I follow Gary Vaynerchuk on the Instagrams and stuff, and I was watching one of his little interviews the other day, and he had I don't know who the hip hop artist was, but they were talking about his creation process and his newer stuff he's been putting out and trying to make fresh music, but also still stick to his roots because he got so big. He was finding that the bigger he got, the further away from his roots he had gotten. You know, getting into more of a modern hip hop.
That happens. You want to stay current with what's paying and what people are listening to, you know. So It might draw you away from your original inspiration.
Well, he said he's like, the way I did it was he went back to his roots. I mean, literally, physically took himself back to where he grew up in L.A. and like hung out in the streets with the guys he used to hang out with and was like part of the culture again. You know, people drive by and getting shot at and shit, and it was like it made him realize like he needed to have that influence back in his life to really dig deep down and really find what he was looking for in his music. And it was interesting to, you know, hearing that kind of stuff. Even if it's just like go drive through an old neighborhood that you used to live in, you know, might spark an interest, or like you're saying with your graffiti, you know, like
you know, my dad's from the LA Valley, and then my brother lived there for a long time. So growing up, I would go back actually to the Valley, and you know, they would just let me go skateboard and cruise around, met the whole CBS crew, just painting a wall one day, and I was like, 15-year-old kid cruising around, backpack full of spray paint and a skateboard and a little black book, and like these are like graffiti legends I looked up to, and they're sitting there painting a wall, you know, doing their thing, and they were totally open. It was like Atlas and Deuce and like just like dudes I was looking up to, and they were so nice. They like took me in, let me kick it all day, you know, we're like real people, and you know, it was. I thought about that the other day when I was kind of thinking about all this. I was like, man, that was cool. That, you know.
Yeah, interesting.
Cool experience in LA there.
Hell yeah. So if you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, whether the actual sound it creates or a emotional sensation it gives you in your soul, what would that be?
Oh man, so it's pretty bone chilling when you hear that tink, or you feel it. You know, you can feel it through the handle sometimes. Yeah. I would say bone chilling.
Hell yeah.
And I don't know, you get this weird feeling through your whole body. Like it's like your sixth sense, like, ugh.
Yeah. The worst is when you have like a bunch of bridges on and shit, and you hear it and you're killing. It's like, man, I hope that was a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, bridges will go.
Yeah.
That's always a sketchy one because sometimes you don't know where it is, and then you're like, is it in the piece? Is it in the bridge? And you have that like little time to freak out mentally while you're locating the problem.
I had one pop off on me yesterday. Like when I do my characters now, I used to not use bridges at all on anything in home or at work, and I started really using them a lot more at work with my characters. Like, 'cause we'll make a body and then I attach the head, so they really get the head on and I angle it the way I want it, and then I bridge it, and then I clean this shit all up. And I was making my little Remy yesterday, and the bridge like popped off on him, like mid working on the piece, and I was just like, it made a sound because they both popped at the same time. It was the craziest shit I'd seen. I'd never experienced that. It was like a spring. I made sure it didn't like hit anybody too. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes, that stuff will build up stress too. If that little like 6 mil brace is holding a lot of weight and it like sets up, maybe, from like gravity holding one end down, and you're putting a little stress on your brace and everything solidifies. When that brace goes, it can fling some shit,
Yeah, it's crazy.
I always try, if I have multiple connections, including the brace, I'll get them all melted in really well, and then I'll go back and build an even heat base into each one, so it kind of evens out that stress that may be held against the separate points being attached to the body of the piece.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can see that for sure. I have to start doing
that. You just kind of even everything out right before you put it back. It seems to help with if you're putting a disc on and it's got 2 connections, or something like that.
Yeah. Cool. Good tip there.
Yeah.
Let's see what else here. I guess I think it's only 6 questions, man. I feel like I have a question in here that I keep forgetting to ask, and I don't know what it is. But the last one I know is, what are your top 5 favorite tools? And that does not include your torch or your glasses or your kiln.
I'm gonna go with my Griffin jacks. I love those things. Jacks and a bench roller, great setup. We were all making them out of tweezers.
Mm-hmm. Are they small jacks or the actual like?
No, they're reasonably sized jacks. They're not like soft glass, maybe under a foot.
Okay.
Griffin tool. Griffin makes them. Great jacks. They're about $100.
Nice.
We were making them out of tweezers, bending the tweezer over and then grinding it into the shape. I think it was something Salt was showing people, I want to say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah, he's known for that tech.
But my Griffin jacks, and then a roller has been great. My Jim Moore cup shears and my Dynamo shears, other great tools. The cup shears are more from the soft glass world, but they're the small size.
Okay. Yep.
So I love those things, man. I'll clean up a little nib on a blow tube before I, go to flare it. It's like I use those things just to take off, a tiny little blib of glass or a large amount, Definitely a tool I use a lot. Fire Kiss cutting wheels. That one?
I have seen it before. I've never used them, but I like for cutting tubing and stuff.
Yeah. Your brother actually turned me on to that one.
Yeah.
Man, I can't ride without that now. I was using a necking tool for everything. I have like a necking tool on my GTT at the time. Mm-hmm. Brass or something, but that Fire Kiss cutting wheel totally changed my cutting abilities for laying a score in some glass and snapping it.
Yeah, so you do like a score and then you add a little bead of hot glass to it to get it to run.
No, you do it hot.
Oh, okay.
So it's 2 wheels that are parallel,
right,
and they roll together, kind of like a necking tool. It makes a little necking tool down in there.
Yep.
So you take a little laser beam flame, make a hot spot, and you roll it in the wheels, and it leaves a crease, and then you just wiggle snap it.
Yep, exactly.
Great tool. Tungsten pick, one of my all-time favorites. I have all these shaping tools for, drawing the outline and doing doing the drawings, I have all these little like flathead yada yada yadas. 99% of the time I'm just using a sharpened tungsten pick, no handle, about 6 inches long. And then the tungsten tweezers as well have been another thing I just added that I really have been enjoying.
They like the bent neck styles.
Yep, bent neck tungsten tweezers all day, and not the cheap ones. I bought the cheap ones because I broke my nice ones. Bought the cheap ones, and what happens is when you squeeze them together too far, they actually meet, and then the tungstens open up a little bit. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, totally. Yep.
But I would recommend the high dollar tungsten tweezers are really nice. Yeah. They're less shocky, more delicate applications,
Yeah, they're great for opening up tubing and all kind of small holes and all kind of shit. I love them.
Yeah, so I guess those have been my tools lately, and the lathe, of course.
Yeah.
Can't beat that one.
I was going to ask you about that with your cups. Are you doing your cups on a bench, or are you doing them on a lathe?
I do the tops on the lathe now.
Okay.
Do them on 65 by 3.2, and then I flame cut the opening. But the foot I do by hand. I spin the feet out by hand because I feel like that looks best. I can make the cups on the bench, just not as efficiently.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's how I learned, but the cup top on the lathe is definitely, you just get that machine pristine look,
Yeah. Just on a
complete...
Oh, go on.
I'm sorry.
I thought you were done. So
I was just going to say it's more consistent than by hand.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But man, anybody who can make that by hand, I have the utmost respect for it, because that's a delicate maneuver.
Well, that's what I was kind of curious about, because for me personally, like I've worked on a lathe a little bit, and not being able to change the pitch really at all. I'm so used to my whole body's the lathe, in a sense, when I'm on my torch.
Yeah.
So for me, I was actually getting bored, just kind of sitting there and rolling it and heating it and blowing it and paddling and shit. And do you find like when you started to go to the lathe that you were, I don't know,
you broke up right there. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah. I was saying, like, when you went from the torch to the lathe, did you find like that transition was difficult at first for you, or was it a little more natural?
Oh man, at first, yeah, you're like, you're so used to shifting your gravity, like you said, side to side, and like using gravity, that it is there's definitely a learning curve there. But now that I know the ins and outs of a lathe, it has its place.
Yeah.
And it has its, like I wouldn't do a foot on the lathe because it looks so machined. It's like it's a tool for certain things if you want a certain aesthetic and certain looks,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Just like torches, I recently got a Hare the past year and work on a lot of GTTs, and they're just different tools, Man. And I use them for different things.
That Hare, bro, I worked with my brothers for the first time ever using one, and it was, to me, the most intuitive torch I've ever been on before. Like, I felt like it was part of my hands. It was weird as shit, and I noticed, like, you can get a lot of heat out of it, but like you can't at the same time. It's different, but man, I love it.
Yeah, it's different. There's certain things I like to do on my Mirage, or we got a couple other GTTs in the shop. There's certain things I like to do on the GTT and certain things I like to do on the Hare. They just each have their own characteristics that play into certain maneuvers. Better, so it's nice to have both.
Yeah. I agree.
Expensive little quiver of tools, but good to have.
Yeah, it's good to invest the money. Then it saves you on having to pay taxes and stuff.
I know. I was just thinking that. Looking at the money I got to pay in the other day, I was like, man, I should have bought another torch.
Awesome, dude. Well, it's fucking a pleasure talking to you, man. And
always.
Getting to know you more. And it's interesting. This is my first real interview doing, because I haven't smoked now for, God, I think about a month now. So like, but just my head chemistry and my clarity and my thoughts and stuff. I really feel like, I don't know if it's just because it's you too, and I'm super comfortable talking to you, but I definitely feel like for myself, I was able to pull out a lot of questions and stuff that to really feed the audience. So
cool. Yeah, I'm glad we got to get to know each other. I've never really done anything like this too,
cool.
So getting to know you a little prior, I really felt like helped me be able to talk a little bit bit more.
Yeah. Always the pre-show jitters. I get them too myself, even still after
Well,
212 episodes.
That's good to know that it never goes away.
Yeah, I think it's that whole thing that if you love what you do, there's always that kind of pre-show, pre-whatever anxiety that you get.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about fucking people on stage that throw up before they go on stage. It's like,
man, yeah. I still get jittery before I go to like a big show, like Red Rocks or something. You get those like butterflies in your tummy. It's like you're going in on a big adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing something out of your normal day.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell
but
yeah,
dude. Thanks for making this comfortable, and it was a good chat. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Likewise, man. Go ahead and hang on after I do our little outro. But before that, if you want to tell us where we can find you and also the Colorado Color Company out there in cyberspace, and then a little parting piece of advice.
Cool. Yeah. I go by Kres Bug Glass. You can find me on Instagram at Kres Bugs Life or Kres Bug Glass.
Is that a K or a C?
It's Kres. There's a whole backstory to that name that we didn't get into.
Well, tell us right now while we're doing it.
Oh, no way.
Oh, come on.
We'll save that one. We'll save that one for round 2. How about it? It's really long.
Okay.
Well, you ever remember that show Stifle and Ollie?
No, I don't.
From MTV, it was with sock puppets.
Oh, yeah.
There's this one episode, and there's like a dready sock puppet, and he's like, man, this shit's Crescent Fresh. And they're like, what is this Crescent Fresh thing? And he's like, it's just like Crescent Fresh. And it just became one of those things in our crew to where like everything was like, yo, what's Crest? What's good? And it just like, it grew from there.
Hilarious.
But it originated from Sifl and Ollie and the little Wook, the Wook sock puppet.
So funny.
So where were we? I guess I'm on Facebook too, Kres Bug. You want to see some family photos? Check it out. You'll catch a lot of family stuff in my feed too.
Cool.
Colorado Color Company is Colorado Color Company on Instagram, Facebook as well. What was the other thing we were
parting piece of advice there? Oh yeah, real quick too. And you guys sell your materials through
Etsy.
The DNL, and then
So we deal with DNL in Denver, local spot, great to us. We also get a ton of color from those guys because we can hand select it. Would highly recommend it if you're ever in Colorado. Go check them out. UST, we get all our clear from them. They carry our products. Pacific Art Glass in California is just getting a case. There's a place in Canada. I can't recall their name. They're a new account as well. And I wish I could. Sorry, guys, if you hear this.
Yeah, man, if you remember what it is, too, hit me up with it. So I can put it in the show notes.
Okay. And then, there's a couple other ones. Man, I'm blanking now.
Oh, that's cool. Then you guys have your big cartel, too, right?
No, it's at Etsy. We moved to Etsy.
Right.
Since we're not selling pipes on there, Etsy is a great platform for us. It carries a lot of the shipping, the accounting, where our business is coming from. It's great for us. Eventually, we're going to move into our own website, but it's just me and Smash Glass at the moment doing this thing. So Etsy's been a great platform for us. You can go Colorado Color Company, Etsy. The link's in our IG bio and our Facebook. That's where you can purchase the tubing from the color company.
Awesome. And now it's time for your advice.
Hey, I just say, work hard, be honest, be a good person, be true to your word, and good things will come.
Hell yeah. Well said. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Sam, and we're going to have Mr. Smash Glass on here eventually to talk about the true story behind Colorado Color Company and Smash's background as well. Get to talking in there. I'm excited for that whole conversation. It'll be a fun little round table.
Oh yeah,
and
that dude's on point. Great conversation. One of the most well-spoken, knowledge cats I know.
Hell yeah.
I imagine that'll be a good interview.
Yeah, and then stay tuned because we got some exciting news with you guys kind of joining in here and helping support the show too. So I can't wait to spill the beans on that little teaser spoiler kind of deal for everybody. And in the meantime, definitely go check these guys out on Instagram. Get some of their tubing in your life. They save you a lot of time and money. And when it comes to creating your own tubes, they got a variety of stuff, and they got great quality materials, and they're all great guys. So go check them out. And
Yeah.
definitely appreciate
You know,
it.
we also do custom backsacks too. If anybody has any certain patterns they would like, we have a whole rate and fee thing for, you know, build your own backstack. Pretty much, you have to buy the whole stack, but if anybody's ever interested in that, that is also a possibility. We don't really advertise it, but we do it.
Awesome. Hell yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, until next time, hope you guys enjoy this interview with Sam, and definitely go check them out on the social webs. And until next time, talk to you on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Have a wise day. Peace.
You're listening to the